Well, hey guys, it is Mr. Galleon here, and I'm answering some of your questions. Appreciate you guys sending me some in. I'm going to say a couple things on the front end. First of all, you don't have to watch this, so thank you for watching it. This is entirely optional. Any views make me feel good, but really I'm doing this just because I miss you guys and talking to you, so thank you. The second thing I want to say is that this is the video that's mostly about coronavirus stuff, and for whatever reason, this is an issue that's really gotten political in the last few weeks, and it's like crazy, crazy political right now. So I'm just going to tell you these are my answers. They're not the school's answers. They're not necessarily the same that your parents or your pastor or whoever would give. So take this with a grain of salt. And you know, I'm not an epidemiologist. I teach high school social studies, right? So keep that in mind. I'm not an epidemiologist as a doctor who studies diseases or a scientist who studies diseases. So take that all with a grain of salt. But I have read a lot about this. I tend to deal with things that stress me out by reading about them. And I've read a lot. So maybe I can answer some of your questions or at least give you a place to go, you know, to ask some stuff. So let me answer a few of these together first, because I had a lot of questions that were similar. They were basically like, how extreme do you think the coronavirus is? Or I like this one, it's very specific. It says, I heard the virus still isn't killing as many as some thought it would, but I'm also hearing the polar opposite. What do you think? Somebody else says, we're shutting down everything for 0.9% of people who are gonna die. Do I think it's worth it? What do I think about the media and how they're handling all this? So let me talk about those questions first. First of all, the real question at the center of these is how deadly is the coronavirus, and do we really know? And the answer in a nutshell is we don't know. We have no idea. We have a ballpark idea, but we don't know for sure. You say, how in the world can that be? Well, the problem is you got to understand how tricky this thing is, okay? So let's say that I am exposed to the coronavirus today, which hopefully didn't happen, right? Let's say I'm exposed to it today. Most things that you get, like if you get the flu or whatever, it's going to be something that'll show up within, 2, 3, maybe 4 days. The coronavirus tends to not show up until about as early as day 5. Sometimes it's day 14 after exposure. So you can have exposure and it just goes in your system for a long, long, long time. Okay. So when we test people today, we're finding people who are exposed 5 to 14 days ago. So what about today? How many people have it today? Well, we don't know. We're going to have to wait another 5 to 14 days to find out. On top of that, we're not doing a great job of testing still. In some places in the country, it's still really hard to test. I'm not sure about Greenville, to be honest. I haven't tried to get tested. Maybe some of you guys can, shoot me a comment or something and tell me. I don't know. It also takes a long time to get those test results back, though. On top of that, not everybody has a serious case of the coronavirus. I watched a video just a little while before I started recording this about a guy in Ohio who basically just felt kind of bad, had the chills. He went in because he traveled, they tested him out, and they were like, oh, you have the coronavirus. And he's like, oh, weird, I don't feel that bad. So if he hadn't have traveled, he would never have probably gotten swabbed, and they never would have recorded him as one of the coronavirus cases in Ohio. Okay, so what that means is we don't know how many people currently have the coronavirus, either because they weren't tested or because the testing is delayed by 2 weeks. Now, what do we know? We know to some degree how many people are dying of the coronavirus. Okay, so if I get sick and I end up going into the hospital and I die and they have that connected, they have me identified as a COVID-19 patient, they're going to mark that if I die, which again, hopefully I don't. Statistics say I probably won't, don't freak out, but yeah. So the problem is there are a lot of people who are dying at home right now, and we can't autopsy them, so we don't know for sure if it's the coronavirus. I read one story that said in New York City last week alone, the number of home deaths due to, I think it was heart attack, went up by 10%. So usually they have say 15 in a week. They had 150 last week. Maybe this is 2 weeks ago. Okay. So the numbers are way, way, way up. And that the heart attack is one of the things that can happen with the coronavirus. So is it possible a lot of people are dying and we don't know that it's related to this? Yeah, that's absolutely possible. So if the way you figure out the mortality rate, how many people it kills or the percentage it kills, is you take the total number dead over the total number of cases you've got. Well, we don't know either the numerator or the denominator. We don't know either one. The best guesses are that it ranges somewhere between about 1% and about 3.5%. There are some outliers. Italy had like 13% of the people that got it died. But again, they're testing issues. They counted a little bit funny sometimes. And there was some other, they have a very old population that's very densely packed together. Old people, like 65, 70, especially 80 or above, tend to die way more often from it. Okay. So, yeah, this is just a weird bunch of events. We are doing some testing to better figure this out. Right now, one of the things we're doing out in Los Angeles and a couple other places is that they're swabbing large numbers of people, a statistically significant sample of people, or not swabbing them, they're actually taking blood from them to see if they have had the coronavirus. If they have antibodies in their blood, that means they've had it and they've fought it off. There's this idea that maybe way more people have it or have had it than no, because it's pretty mild sometimes, right? So we don't know that. So in the meantime, we need to be safe. We need to be careful, I would say, because this could be really, really bad. So if this thing just runs through our population, because we have no natural immunity to it, right? So if you're exposed to it, you're probably going to get it in some way, whether it's mild or extreme. And it's going to keep running. The best guess that people have is until somewhere between 50 and 70% of people have it. Okay, that's how herd immunity works. Maybe you've heard that. What happens is after you hit that number, the virus is out there and it just can't find as many new people to infect, and so it slowly dies down. So let's say the United States has about 350 million people. Okay. Let me do some math really quick while you guys are here. So 350 million people. Let's say that half of them get it. So that would be 175 million people. And let's say that only 1% of those people die. So we have 175 million people. 1% of them die. Okay. That would be 1.75 million Americans who would die. And we're talking about in the next year just from this one thing. Okay. That's a pretty big number. And on top of that, there are some concerns about if you get it, does it do lasting damage to your lungs, to other parts of your body, your heart? And the answer is we don't know. Okay. So 1.75 million, if the number is 1%, let's run the numbers again. Hang on. 1.75, 0. So 175 million people get it, let's say. And let's say that the mortality rate is more like 3.5%. Okay, so that's 0.035. That would be 6 million Americans. That's why I'm saying maybe caution is good. Somebody said, do I think we're overreacting? And the answer is no, not at this point. Now, we might find some data later that tells us, yeah, we totally overreacted. What in the world were we thinking? Okay, if it turns out to be like, 0.5% of people that get it die, yeah, this is overreacting. But because we don't know, and we could be looking at, 6 million Americans that are dead. And let's do this. So my right now I'm 39. Okay. Right now they would say that my mortality rate would be about 0.2%. Yeah, about 0.2. If I get the thing, there's about a 0.2% chance that it would kill me. Okay. My numbers are actually a little bit greater than that because I have asthma. So let's just say that I have a 1% chance. Is that right? I have no idea what I'm talking about all of a sudden. Okay. So let's say that out of all those people, so there we go, 0.007. So they're going to be built into that. I did that math completely wrong. Hang on. This is just like at school. Whenever I try to do math, it goes completely off the rails. So 12500. So 6 million Americans. And let's say that out of those, I'm doing this completely wrong. You know what? Forget that. So sorry. There's an unacceptably high number of relatively healthy, relatively young people who are getting it. Because look, I know that older people get things and they die, and we want to prevent that too. It's just a lot harder, okay? Let me talk about that for a minute. If you were to get the virus, there's a very, very, very strong likelihood it would hit you not super hard. You'd feel it, probably be about like the flu. And then you'd bounce back. The number of people in the United States who are under the age of 20 who have died from this thing is super, super low. And not just percentage-wise, but like in general. We're talking about like 10 people or fewer, okay? If I'm wrong, I'm going to check before I post this. If I'm wrong, I'll put a thing down in the comments. At my age, it's a little bit higher. And again, I've got asthma, so, you know, that could be rough. If you know somebody with high blood pressure, that increases their issues. If they've had cancer in the past or if they currently have it, that increases their mortality rate. When you get to 65 or above, and especially 80 or above, the chances of getting it and surviving go way, 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 way down. Okay, so we do want to protect our older folks. I think it's important that we do, and it's really hard because, yeah, we're shooting the economy in the foot right now. Like, your parents are probably freaked out to some degree. I'm a little freaked out to some degree. We're a school that we need people to say, I want to send my kid there. If this goes, let's say, goes more than a year, how do we get new students? How do we get incoming freshmen if we can't meet, right? So we're hurting the economy for sure. But on the other hand, we definitely hurt the economy if that many people die. Anyway, it's a problem. I'm kind of talking in circles here, so I'm gonna go on to the next question. How's that? Somebody here says, my mom works in a hospital. She has had 6 COVID-19 patients. One of them passed away. It wasn't because of COVID-19, though. It was because they had 3 pre-existing diseases. She was required to put down COVID-19 at the hospital of cause of death, even though it wasn't necessarily the cause. What do you think about this? Is the government blowing it out of proportion? Well, I think I've answered the blowing out of proportion part. But as far as how we record these things, I think it's a good question. I already said earlier that we're probably undercounting the number of people who have died from this. And so I think some of this is an effort to increase that. But let me give you a hypothetical, okay? Let's say that I have been in a knife fight, because you know me, and I got stabbed, and I'm bleeding just all over the place. And if I don't get to the hospital, I'm gonna die, okay? And so my wife puts me in the car and we drive to the hospital, and she's driving too fast because she's, you know, freaking out. And on the way to the hospital, we have a car crash, okay? And I'm now losing more blood. So I was already dying, but now I'm losing even more blood. What killed me? Was it the car crash? Was it the stab wound? And the answer is it's both. And I think we have a little bit of this going on right now. Okay, so if I have cancer, I've got, you know, some kind of breathing issue, whatever, and then I get the coronavirus, is it the coronavirus that killed me or is it the other thing? Now, I don't know the situation with this person's mom, and, you know, I can't, obviously, because there are privacy laws. But I think we need to be careful when we say, oh, they're completely miscounting this. The counting question is one that is worth asking. But like I said, getting accurate numbers is hard, okay? Oh, I skipped the question about what do I think about the media. So I think the media has to warn us about the worst case scenario, okay? Because if they don't, if nobody out there is saying it's bad, then you and I are probably both going to take risks that we shouldn't. And so it makes a lot of sense for the media to talk about, here are the risks, okay? Here are young, healthy people who got this and got sick and died, okay? On the other hand, they also want to get clicks if it's online. They want to get views. They want to get people watching their channel instead of the other one. And so, yeah, they're going to play it up, okay? So CNN is probably, they know that people watching it are either more moderate or more liberal. And so they're probably going to, you know, say these people expect that it's bad, so we're going to play into that, so they keep watching us. People who tend to be more conservative tend to be playing this down a little bit more. And so Fox News is saying, yeah, it's bad, but here are a number of things to be optimistic about. Okay, so look at multiple sources. I try to read both Fox News sometimes, CNN, other sources, and that's good, okay? I think that's really good and really healthy to do. So yeah, is the media maybe freaking us out when they shouldn't? Maybe. But there are also things to legitimately freak out about that maybe you wouldn't without the media, okay? Let's see here. We're almost there. So if you're still hanging in there, good job. Do I think that China is still skewing their numbers on purpose? Do I think they have more cases than they report? Man, I have no way of knowing the answer to that question, to be honest. I do know, maybe you saw this, that just yesterday or the day before, they increased, at least in Wuhan, where the thing first broke out, they increased the death numbers by 50%. So whatever they were before, they increased it by another half. They said they were undercounting. I don't know why that is exactly, and who knows. China wants to say that they were better equipped, because they have a communist country, better equipped to get the people to obey and do what they had to do right away than non-communist countries. They want to look good. Now, here's the thing. With a lot of freedoms and people that value freedom highly, it is really hard to get people to lock down and put up with it, okay? So that's valid. And that's one of the only advantages. When you take econ or government, you tend to talk about advantages of a command economy, and that is you can make really quick changes. That's true, okay? So I wouldn't dispute that it's possible, but does that mean I want to suddenly go live in communist China? No, I hope you don't either, okay? And then the last question that I will answer, I think I've answered everything. If not, let me know. The last question is, do I think we're going back to school? At this point, I don't actually remember if I've answered it, because I recorded this video again. I did it on my computer first, and it was not great quality. So if I did stop the video, bye, see you later. I kind of doubt it. Donald Trump put out a thing recently called the Blueprint for Opening America or something like that. And what he said is, look, if we have any state that has cases that decline for 2 weeks straight and deaths that decline for 2 weeks straight, and there's one other criteria, I don't remember what it is, then we will go to a phase 1 opening. We'll start to open up some things. That phase 1, even if we were there, which we're not, we're still on the uptick, that phase 1 doesn't include schools. Phase 2 includes schools, and to get to phase 2, you've got to have 2 additional weeks of declined deaths and new cases. So if Henry McMaster, our governor, decides to follow that, we're probably not going to be back, because 4 weeks from now would be the absolute earliest we could be back, starting right now. And 4 weeks from now is pretty close to the end of school, to be honest, so I kind of doubt it. On the other hand, though, Henry McMaster doesn't have to listen to the president's guidelines. He can do whatever he wants to do, because we have a federal system and the states are over schooling. So I don't know. I kind of hope we're not, because the idea of us, I mean, I love you guys, don't get me wrong, but the idea of us being trapped together in a room that is relatively small, where some of us have the virus and don't know it because it's a 5 to 14 day incubation period, it's, not ideal. Again, you guys would probably be fine. You'd probably even fight it off a whole lot better than me, but I don't love that idea, okay? So there we go. Very last thing, and I think I answered it in the sillier video. The other question was, would I be able to make it if the virus mutates and gets worse and society shuts down? Would I be prepared to survive? No. Have you met me? Have you seen me? Like, I'm gonna throw a book at it or, whatever. So if that happens and you have some extra deer meat or, goat milk or whatever, come by my house. I could use it. I'll teach you some history in exchange for some meat, I guess. How's that? One last thing I'll say, the fear in there about what if the virus mutates and gets worse. When viruses mutate, it is almost never beneficial to them. So if this thing mutates, which it doesn't a whole lot, it does some, but not a whole lot. If it does, it's probably going to become less devastating to society, which would be a really good thing. So, hey, if you want to pray about something, pray that it mutates to become less destructive. Y'all, I really like you guys. This is way too long. Again, if you're still watching it, I am really impressed and kind of surprised. I'll leave the question thing open. I might even post it again in the future. There is another video about the sillier stuff, so if you want to watch that, go ahead. But hey, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.